Some betrayals don't involve bodies. They involve choices, silences, the way someone puts us second while swearing they're doing what's best for us. Welcome to the Echoes of Temptation channel, where real stories are told without filters, without embellishments, and with the brutal honesty that life demands. Today, you'll follow the account of Gabriel, a man who discovered that the true line between love and humiliation is broken in the smallest gestures, and that regaining respect begins by ceasing to beg for it. This story isn't about revenge, it's about emotional justice, about someone who gave everything until he decided to give no more. If you've ever felt like you were being pushed out of your own story, stay with us. And before we begin, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Because here, the truth hurts, but it also sets you free. I remember the exact night it all started to fall apart. It's funny how these things always seem small at first. A sentence tossed into the air, said with a light, almost innocent laugh. It was an ordinary Tuesday, one of those nights when routine makes it seem like everything is fine. We had a late dinner, laughing about little things. Lorena always had that way about her. Light, spontaneous, a bit scattered when she spoke. Then, in the middle of a conversation about work, she let it slip. Can you believe Rafael started at the company? Rafael from college? He studied with me. I looked up. The name sounded vaguely familiar. Rafael, the guy you liked before we met? She let out a short laugh, as if she found my memory amusing. Oh, Gabriel, that's silly. That was another lifetime ago. We exchanged a few kisses. Teenage stuff. It was just once. I was young. A different mindset. Relax, okay? Relax. That word hit me hard. But the worst part wasn't what she said. It was what I remembered. Years ago, in a casual chat with Thais, one of Lorena's closest friends, she had mentioned, half jokingly, that Lorena had a huge crush on a guy from college, that he didn't pay her much attention, but everyone noticed the way she looked at him. It was actually kind of sad to see, Thais had said. He knew, and he sort of took advantage of it. And now, this same guy, this Raphael, was back in her daily life. Same building, same team, same coffee break table. It wasn't jealousy. It was that uncomfortable feeling of emotional déjà vu. As if an unresolved story was making a comeback. But I wasn't part of the script. I tried to let it go. I tried to trust her. But that night ended colder than it began. She went up to the bedroom before me, as she always did when she wanted to avoid a serious conversation, and I stayed there on the sofa with the name Raphael spinning in my head. It wasn't the name. It was the look in her eyes when she said it, the excessive lightness, the rush to downplay it. Sometimes, the way someone tries to seem unconcerned is precisely what's most concerning. 2 weeks after that conversation about Raphael, Lorena told me she was going on a corporate retreat, an entire weekend at a country hotel with her whole team. She said it was a new event, something the management had come up with to promote team integration. I confess, I found it strange. There had never been anything like it in all the years she'd worked there. But I limited myself to asking, "Is everyone going?" She nodded, without looking me in the eye. I knew. Deep down, I knew. Raphael was going too, but she didn't mention it. Not this time. I was silent for a moment. Then I said, Lorena, do you really think it's a good idea to go? She dropped her phone on the table, visibly irritated. Gabriel, for God's sake, this again? Are you going to start controlling where I can go for my job? I took a deep breath. I spoke calmly without raising my voice. It's not control, it's discomfort. And you know why. She rolled her eyes, said I was being dramatic, that she wouldn't let my insecurity interfere with her life. And she went. She went knowing it hurt me. On Friday, she got ready like she was going to a wedding. Hair done, strong perfume. The one she wore when she wanted to get attention. There was no kiss, no hug, just a cold, see you Sunday, as if it were just any other trip. On Saturday afternoon, my phone buzzed. An Instagram notification. One of Lorena's colleagues, Fernanda, had posted a series of stories. The shaky phone camera showed laughter, people in the pool, loud music. And then, in the third story, Lorena appeared, wet, in a bikini, laughing. Rafael was next to her, shirt open, holding a drink, with his arm draped over her shoulders. She turns her face to him and laughs at something he says. He smiles back, a long gaze. The camera focuses on them for 3 seconds. 3 seconds that pulled the ground out from under me. That wasn't just friendship. It didn't even look like a joke. It was a natural intimacy, a kind of freedom you don't have with just any work colleague. I watched the story 3 times, then 4. Then I lost count. Messages from friends started coming in. Did you see this? Dude, are you okay? Shame rose in me like a fever. But worse than the exposure was the certainty. She knew she was being filmed. She knew she could be seen. And yet, she didn't hesitate. It wasn't the touch. It was the choice. The decision to be there, like that, knowing my discomfort, and still, acting as if nothing mattered but the moment. That night, I didn't sleep. I just held my phone, in silence. Not because I was afraid to face reality, but because, for the first time, I accepted that she wasn't with me anymore. She just hadn't told me yet. When she arrived on Sunday, she pretended nothing had happened. She walked in with that rehearsed naturalness, took off her shoes, dropped her suitcase in the corner of the living room, and asked, "Do you want to order food, or should I make something?" I was sitting on the sofa, remote in hand, my mind racing. I didn't answer right away. She sensed something was off. Gabriel, what's with the long face? I took a deep breath. I saw Fernanda's stories. Silence. 1 second, 2. She bit her lower lip and forced a nervous laugh. Oh, that. For God's sake, Gabriel. It was a joke. Everyone was laughing. Are you really going to make a storm over this? It's not a storm. It's a boundary. And you crossed it. She crossed her arms. You're exaggerating. I didn't do anything wrong. You knew that guy bothered me. That this issue wasn't resolved. You chose to go anyway. And more. You chose to be all over him. In front of everyone. Knowing you could be exposed. And you didn't care. All over him. Wow. What an ugly way to put it, Gabriel. You're being way too dramatic. You think this is drama? You have no idea what it's like to sit here and see it on a phone. The woman you love giving that kind of freedom to a guy who, until recently, was just a ghost. And now, he's back, in the flesh, in a video, on other people's feeds, in the mouths of our friends. She looked away. You're seeing things that aren't there. Oh, I am seeing things? And you know what else? I saw it long before this. I saw it when you started choosing your own desires and treating my discomfort like it was my problem. I saw it every time you rolled your eyes when I tried to talk. I saw it when you started leaving me talking to myself, when your tone turned to disdain, when everything I felt was dismissed as an exaggeration. She fell silent, for the first time, without a ready answer. I continued, you made me feel small, but now, for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to see myself from the outside. And you know what I see? A guy who swallowed a lot to avoid conflict, who tried to understand, who let too much slide, who believed that love was enough. I stood up. My voice was firm. My heart was aching, but my conscience was clear. You chose to pull away. I'm just accepting the decision you've already made. She tried to justify herself again. She used the same old words. You're being harsh. This isn't fair. You don't trust me. But none of those phrases stuck anymore. I saw her trying to hold together the pieces of a narrative that no longer held up. And right there, I understood. She didn't regret what she did. She regretted getting caught. At the end of that night, I slept on the sofa, but I slept in peace. For the first time in a long time, I had listened to myself. On Monday morning, she treated me as if nothing had happened. Coffee on the table, a hurried good morning, the attempt to return to routine. I understood in that moment that, for Lorena, the video incident wasn't a rupture. It was just an inconvenience that would soon fade if she ignored it long enough. But for me, it was a turning point. I no longer saw an us. I only saw a cycle. I would forgive. She would repeat. I would give in. She would push. I would warn. She would ignore. And I was tired. On Tuesday night, I sat on the edge of the bed. She was on her phone, scrolling through her feed as if life were carrying on as normal. Lorena, we need to talk. She looked at me suspiciously, put her phone down slowly. Go on. I took a deep breath. I'm moving out. She frowned, genuinely surprised. What do you mean you're moving out? I can't do this anymore. I'm losing myself in here, trying to hold up a relationship that only works when I erase myself, and I don't want that for myself anymore. She stood up, irritated. You're overreacting. You're going to throw everything away. Just like that? It's not just like that, Lorena. I've just stopped being silent. I'm choosing my peace, my respect, something I no longer feel here. She tried to get closer, to soften her tone. We can talk this through, work it out. Don't do this now. We're just hot-headed. I shook my head. We had chances, several of them, but every time I opened up about my pain, you mocked it, deflected, minimized it. You used my patience against me. Her eyes began to well up, but it wasn't regret. It was the desperation of losing control of the narrative. She asked me where I was going. I told her I didn't know yet. I just knew I couldn't stay where my value was always the bargaining chip. When I walked out the door that night, I didn't feel relief. I felt grief, but it was a clean grief. No anger, no drama. Just the certainty that loving someone cannot cost you your love for yourself. In the first few days after I left, the silence was deafening. Waking up in a different place, without the smell of her coffee, without her footsteps in the hall, without that years-long routine, was strange. But at the same time, there was a peace to it, an uncomfortable peace, but a clean one. I rented a small apartment, nothing fancy. White walls, used furniture, a mattress on the floor at first, but it was mine, and I slept in peace. Even with the pain, I slept in peace. Lorena sent messages in the first few days, nothing too direct, a few attempts to start a conversation, as if she wanted to test me. Hey, how are you? I think you took the documents from the black folder by mistake. Can you check for me, please? I responded politely, but I kept my distance. And when she realized I wasn't going to fall back into the same old cycle, she disappeared. Her absence slowly turned into noise. My friends asked how I was doing. Some said she seemed strange at work, more withdrawn. Others said she was still smiling as if nothing had happened. The truth, I stopped trying to understand what she was feeling. For the first time, I was trying to understand what I was feeling. I started therapy. I picked up old hobbies. I started running in the mornings again. I began to rediscover parts of myself that had been buried under the constant attempt to maintain a relationship that only existed if I swallowed my own voice. One night, months later, I received a different kind of message from her. Gabriel, you were right about everything. I was arrogant, cold, and cowardly. If I could go back, I would have done everything differently. I just want one chance to talk to you again. I read it. I remembered everything. And for the first time, I felt no anger, no longing, just a bitter realization. She understood, but it was too late. I didn't reply, because that message wasn't for me. It was to alleviate her own guilt. And I no longer carry the weight of healing the voids she created. Life goes on. And today, I know. The greatest form of love is when you choose not to go back to a place where you lost your respect. Lorena was a chapter, an important one, yes, but I am the whole book. Gabriel didn't shout. He didn't beg. He simply understood that where there is no respect, there can be no permanence. Lorena realized what she had lost, but by the time regret arrived, he was already gone. Sometimes, the punishment isn't the end. It's the silence of someone who grew tired of giving warnings. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to Echoes of Temptation yet, now is the time. Because dignity is not negotiable.